I will never get rid of and that I don't really need. It is very aptly labeled memories. And as I was going through the contents of the box, which is about 80% photographs, my sister and I were looking at them, exclaiming over people who had lost hair, who had gone from brunette to gray to blonde, who had gained or lost weight. All of these memories of family and friends and acquaintances. And she came across a group photo, and she said, "Oh, do you remember this family reunion? That was my favorite one." Now, this family reunion was the Bland family reunion in Salt Lake City. My sister's on the board of directors of the Bland Heritage Foundation. Now, I know that it must be hard for y'all to believe that I can belong to a family named Bland. But believe me, it is a misnomer. These people are anything but dull, boring, or monotonous. They are also not related to me. My sister calls them cousins. I disagree. I think they're very nice people that have a common interest of genealogy. The reason my sister thought this particular family reunion with the Bland Heritage Foundation was so important is because she got that final piece of documentation she needed to join the Daughters of something. She belongs to the Daughters of the American Revolution, the Daughters of the American Colonies, the Daughters of the Republic of Texas, the Daughters of the Confederacy. If there's a Daughters of group, she belongs to. Now, I think these people are very nice. And when Linda and I go out to eat, a lot of times we get, "Are y'all related?" from waitresses. But when we went out this time, she said, "Are y'all related to my sister and Pat?" Pat is a perfectly nice person. My sister said, "Yes, we're cousins." Let me tell you how Pat is our cousin. In 1654, 5 brothers immigrated from Scotland to Virginia. Pat is descended from the oldest brother, William, and we are descended from the middle brother, James. I consider that a very dilute genetic pool. If you have to go back 350 years to be considered cousins. I say, if you just go back a little bit further, it'll be Adam and Eve, and you can say the whole world is our cousin. Now, I was talking about my favorite family reunion, and that is the Mackenzie family reunion. Now, as opposed to the Bland family reunion that takes place in a different city every July, the Mackenzie family reunion takes place every October in Lovelady, Texas. And every person at that reunion is a descendant from either my grandmother or her siblings. To me, those people are my cousins. I am directly related to them. When they say who they're related to, I know who that is. They don't have to show you birth certificates or death certificates or any kind of certificates. I know who they're talking about. And the stories, we get together and we tell stories and we update on what happened in each other's lives, and we eat. Because somewhere in our DNA it states a full person is a happy person, and this family reunion is full of happy, happy people. We're all good cooks and we're all trying to outdo each other, and that means there's always a lot of good food. And one year I was sitting there after eating a very good meal, and I was sitting next to my cousin Wanda's oldest boy, and I said, "Bubba, is that your pickup truck?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Bubba, are those bullet holes in the door of your pickup truck?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Okay, Bubba, I know you're a man of few words, but this is a story I got to hear." He said, "Well, they're not my bullet holes, Vicki. I bought the truck with the bullet holes already in it." I said, "Who did you buy a truck from that already came accessorized with its own bullet holes?" And he said, "My daddy." I said, "Now, I know I'm not a forensic scientist, but it seems to me that from the position of those bullet holes, your daddy would have been dead. And I saw him right over there eating banana pudding. So what happened?" He said, "Well, he wasn't shot at. He's the one that shot the pickup." I wanted to say so it was a day like any other, but I didn't. I didn't want to interrupt the flow of the story. I said, really? And he said, yeah, his friends decided he shouldn't drive, but they didn't want to be the one to take the keys away, so they thought it would be a really good idea to disable the vehicle. And then he'd go out and he'd try to drive it, and it wouldn't start. And one of them would take him home, and the next day when everybody sobered up, they'd come back and put the distributor cap back on the truck, and everybody would be happy. And I said, so his friends have been drinking some too, is that right? And he said, yeah. Well, didn't quite happen that way. Daddy went out, tried to start the truck. It wouldn't start, so he took his gun out from underneath the seat and he shot it 6 times. Luckily, he didn't hit anything important. And then he came back in there and he said, I don't even want a truck that won't start. And I said, Daddy, I'll buy that truck from you for $100. And he sold it to me. And I said, Bubba, the next day when your daddy sobered up, didn't he want his truck back? He said, well, yeah, but I said, Daddy, I went to one of them Al-Anon meetings, and they say you got to deal with the consequences of your drinking. And the consequences of your drinking is I got a pickup truck and you don't. Now, that's why my sister loves going to the Blandon reunion to get the wonderful documentation. But I love the McKenzie family reunion because they got better stories.